Okay, this is 2.2 arithmetic sequence. Of the definition of sequence and series here, we're really only going to focus on sequence in our lessons in Algebra 1. And a sequence is just a list of numbers in a special order. So if you look at this list that I have down here, this list, they're in descending order. It looks like we may be subtracting the same amount every time, so that's what makes that a sequence. So really, arithmetic sequence is just it's just an equation, and it's an equation that you've seen before once we simplify and get it down to the new format. So I'm going to skip a sub n. I'm going to skip this one for just a second. I'm going to move on to a sub 1. A sub 1 is going to be your initial term. Initial means what you start with, so the starting term. So in this example down here, 11 is my a sub 1. It's my starting term. Then we have n minus 1. N is a number that you're given. So the given number minus 1. So down here, when it says what would the 21st term be, that's our n. That's the given number. Then d is what we call the common difference. So the common difference down here, 11 minus 3 gives you 8. 8 minus 3 gives you 5. 5 minus 3 gives you 2. So our common difference is negative 3. So what is a sub n? A sub n is really the answer. It's the result that you get when you substitute the given number for n. So it's the answer given n. So we're going to start looking at arithmetic sequence by looking at the equation. So the first thing we want to do is just find what we call an explicit equation. So we start with a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n, whoops, that's an ugly n minus 1 times d. A sub 1 we said was 11 plus n minus 1 times my common difference of negative 3. I put that in parentheses because it's negative. We don't want to think it's minus 3. Because we still have to distribute, even though it's backwards, we're going to distribute. So that's 11, and then we take negative 3 times n, which is negative 3n, and negative 3 times negative 1, which is positive 3. So 11 plus 3 is 14 minus 3n. So our explicit formula is a sub n equals 14 minus 3n. We can take that equation and we can substitute in the 21st term. That's the n that we want to find. So just like we did with functions, we're going to say a sub 21. So a, when we substitute in 21, equals 14 minus 3 times 21. I'm just going to drop that whole thing into my calculator and get a sub 21 equals negative 41. So the 21st term would be negative 41. So we talked about explicit formula. So if you look right here, we have explicit formula and we have recursive formula. For the explicit formula, we've already practiced that, so let's just do another example. A sub 1 is 20. 20 plus 4 gives me 24. 24 plus 4 gives me 28. And if you continue, the difference is the same. So my common difference is 4. Now this is asking for the formula. We don't have an n to substitute in. So a sub n equals a sub 1, which is 20, plus n minus 1 times the common difference of 4. Substitute or distribute that in. So that's 20. 4 times n is 4n. 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. Then you need to add your like terms. So I'm going to do the 4n first, and then 20 minus 4 is 16. A sub n equals 4n plus 16. Kind of looks like y equals mx plus b. A sub n would be the y, n would be the x. So it looks like standard form. So it looks like an equation we've seen before. The explicit form is the easiest form to work with. As you saw before, we can substitute a number in and easily find the answer. Sometimes they ask for recursive form. Recursive form isn't as easy to use because in recursive form, you have to have the previous term. So if we wanted to find the 21st term, we have to know the 20th term. And you usually don't know the previous term. There are cases, though, where their recursive formula is helpful. So if they ever ask you for that formula, it's actually easier to write the formula than explicit. So we have a sub n equals a sub n minus 1. Well, we still don't know what n is, so we write that down. Plus the common difference of 4. Now, like I said, it's not as user-friendly because it doesn't really tell us as much, but it is a little bit easier to get. Okay, so let's practice a few more of these. This one says find the 52nd term. So that's our n. It gives us the first term of negative 38. So we need to know the common difference from negative 38 to negative 45. It looks like we're subtracting 8. And from negative 45 to negative 52, we're subtracting 8, and so on. So our common difference is negative 8. And this was our first term. So A, when we substitute in 52, is our first term, negative 38, plus n, which is 52, minus 1, times the common difference of negative 8. Now at this point in time, I'm just going to plug that whole string of stuff into my calculator using the parentheses exactly like I see them. And I get A, when I substitute in 52, is going to give me negative 446. So if they don't ask for the formula, you can just substitute everything directly in. Let's hope my battery holds so we can get this video done. Okay, the explicit formula for this one. A sub 1, our common difference, we're adding 9. I'm adding 9, so D is 9. So A sub n equals A sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the common difference of 9. So that's negative 18. Distribute in the 9. So that's 9n minus 9. Add your like terms. So that's 9n. And negative 18 minus 9 is negative 27. Now we have the recursive formula. So for the recursive formula, we just need common difference. So we don't even need to know what the first term is. Yay, Mr. Tolan to the rescue. He just plugged in my computer so it won't die. Okay, so the common difference is minus 2. 24 to 22 is minus 2. So D is negative 2. The recursive formula is A sub n equals A sub n minus 1 I'm going to say plus a -2. We don't usually do that, but with the a sub n, it kind of makes things a little more complicated. I'll click on this and see where we are in time. All right, so let's move on to some word problems. The only thing you have to consider with word problems is where are you starting? Are you actually starting at the end of 1 or are you starting at 0? So let's read this first problem. It says, after knee surgery, your trainer tells you to return to your jogging program slowly. He suggests jogging for 12 minutes each day for the first week. So at the end of the first week, you're jogging 12 miles or 12 minutes each day. Then he suggests that you increase that time by 6 minutes per day. How many weeks will it be before you are jogging 60 minutes? So first week is 12, then we add 6, so the next week is 18. We add 6 more, the next week is 24, and then it's 30, and you see how that works. So a sub 1 is 12. That's our initial value. Our common difference, we added 6 each week. However, 60 is not n, because in this case, n is how many weeks? N is weeks right here. What it does tell us is the answer once we put it in. So the answer is 60. So this is actually a sub n. So in our equation, a sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. We're given a sub n, that's 60. A sub 1 is 12. We don't know n, so n minus 1 times d. We're going to go ahead and distribute that in. So 60 equals 12 plus 6n minus 6. We're going to add our like terms. 60 equals 12 minus 6, which is 6, plus 6n. So I'm going to rewrite this over here. Oops, rewrite this over here. So 60 equals 6 plus 6n. Let's subtract 6 from both sides. So 54 equals 6n. Divide both sides by 6. And n equals 9 weeks. So you should be running 60 minutes per day at the end of 9 weeks. Okay, so let's look at this next one. So what I wanted you to see was we really didn't have to write out the sequence like we did here because it gave us the information. So from now on, we're going to start looking for that information in our word problems. So a theater has 60 seats in the first row, 68 seats in the second row, 76 seats in the third row. So this it tells us where we start, but it doesn't tell us the difference, but it does give us a sequence of numbers. So we're going to have to find our difference on this one. The theater has a total of 20 rows. So that's n. How many seats are there in the 20th row? So our initial value is 60. Our common difference is adding 6 seats each time. So the common difference is 6. We want to find a sub 20. So we want to find when we substitute in the 20th row, our initial value is 60 plus 20 minus 1, that's n minus 1, times the common difference of 8. So in this situation, you can just drop that into your calculator and you get 212 seats in the 20th row. So a sub 20, and we substitute in 20. Okay, so let's look at this next example. Brian gets a starting wage of $15 and an annual raise of $1.50 per hour. An annual raise, this means each year he gets a raise of $1.50 per hour. What would Brian's hourly wage be in his 10th year? Now this gives us a hint. It says how many years has he been working when he starts out earning $15. So at the end of the first year, he gets a raise. So at the end of the year, he's not making $15 an hour. The first year, so that's A sub 0, is 15. We want after the first year. So that's the 15 plus his $1.50 raise. So A sub 1 is actually $16.50. The difference is he gets $1.50 each year. And the 10th year is going to be our N. So A, when we substitute 10, equals 1650 plus 10 minus 1 times our common difference of $1.50. Like I said, I would just drop that into my calculator. And in my 10th year, when will he be making, after how many years will he be making $15? Oh, nope, that's the wrong question. What will his hourly wage be during his 10th year? So when you plug that into the calculator, he should be making $30 per hour in his 10th year. Then it says, oh, that's done. I was going to answer a different question, but we're done. Okay, so starting May 1, a new store will begin giving away 500 posters as a promotion. Each day, 4 posters will be given away. 4 posters will be given away. So that means our common difference is minus 4. The store is open 7 days a week, so how many posters will the store have left when it's open for business on May 14th? That means day 14, so N is 14. The first one is 500. So A, when we substitute in 14, is the initial value, 500, plus N minus 1. Oh, we know what N is. N is 14, times our common difference of negative 4. And since these are all numbers, there's no variables left, we can just drop that in our calculator. So on May 14th, 14 days, you will have 448 posters left. Okay, remember to do the odds on the new problems and do all of the review problems.